thank you for inviting me. I'm going to talk this afternoon about developing intuition. Intuition is a funny word because in our Western, especially society, it's not particularly valued. It's seen as something namby-pamby, something emotional, something almost hysterical sometimes. And yet in many cultures it is highly valued. And I guess the first thing I want to do is talk about what it is. I think you probably intuitively know what it is. And words don't always serve us well when it comes to these things, but we'll have a go. So this is what I want to talk about today. So developing intuition. It's your inner tuition. It's going inward to listen to something other than the usual thoughts that run in your mind. So what is it? Why do we need it? How to recognize it? And this is a key one. How do you recognize intuitive messages, thoughts, feelings, as opposed to the usual thoughts, feelings, messages? And then once you start to get better at recognizing it, how do you trust it and act on it, and what happens to both you and your life when you do? I want to talk a little bit about our body as a vehicle of the soul. The soul speaks through the body especially. So your body is incredibly intuitive. It's speaking to you all the time. It's just often we're not listening. But we can tune into that wisdom. I want to talk a little bit about how meditation is probably the key thing to bring you to a place of living from your intuition, from living from your soul, from your higher self, from a connection to something higher. I want to talk a little bit about the message, that's if we don't go over time, and the Bhagavad Gita, A Course in Miracles, and a little bit of Taoism. So I'm just throwing in some different, I like to build jigsaws. So I'm putting in some different pieces of the jigsaw to give you a better picture. So I want to start by asking, what is it? I'm going to give you a handout with some quotes from some people who know better than I, some famous people who spoke about intuition. H.P. Blavatsky, for those who are not familiar with theosophy, is a Russian lady who founded the Theosophical Society, a very wise lady. His famous quote, I don't even know its origin, it's probably older than time itself. As above, so below. As within, so without. Saying that there is no duality, even though we feel like we live in a world within ourselves and there's a world outside of ourselves, there actually is no duality, that it is a unity. And what is reflected within us is always reflected in the world, and vice versa. What we find on a cosmic level, we find on an atomic level. So if we look out into the sky and we look deep into a cell, we find the same things. We find the same energy. H.P. Helena Petrona Blavatsky said it is the duty of the Theosophical Society to keep alive in man his spiritual intuition. And I think quite often in the society we get a bit caught up in the mind, into the intellectualizing of spirituality, and we forget to connect with the intuition. Einstein, who you would have thought, the intellect works on science. It likes things that are recordable, that you can measure. It will believe what your logical, rational mind says is so. If we can't measure it, it doesn't exist in some scientific ways. But Einstein, one of the greatest scientists we've ever known, is said to have come up with his ideas intuitively and then gone off to his mathematics as a tool to prove the intuition. So he says the intuitive mind is a sacred gift, and the rational mind is a faithful servant. We've created a society that honours the servant and has forgotten the gift. And I would say that this in the West, this is where we're coming to as we come into the age of Aquarius. we needed to develop our minds, our intellect, and we have done that well. We have developed precise power of concentration. We've developed science and technology. But what we need to do, we need to look to the Eastern ideas now, bring them together with these Western occult ideas and come back into the heart. Bring the heart and mind together to go forward in an even more powerful way. And in the age of Aquarius, and especially 2012, this year has profound energy as a gateway into this age. We are here to create a society that honours the gift, honours intuition, starts to work from the heart. It is said that we stand as a conduit, so a gateway between heaven and earth. So if you like, there's the Heavenly Father, the solar energy, there's the Mother Earth, the divine feminine energy. The two come together, or you could talk about the Trinity in terms of the Father, Son and Holy Spirit. It's all a Trinity, it's all the same energy. Come together as the Son, and we go forward as the child, as the Son of the Mother and the Father, to bring the kingdom of heaven onto earth. We as the Son of God. Jesus said, as I am, so are you. And that is what we are here to do, to realise how magnificent we are. And intuition, if you like, is the voice of God within you. If you look down to Mother Teresa, she says, before you speak, it is important for you to listen, for God speaks in the silence of the heart. So to come back into the heart with this wonderful mind, this intellect we have developed, and bring the intellect and the intuition together. And when you do that and you take it out into your life, you start to live the life you were designed to live, the life you were put on this planet to live. You find your path. You find you are the path, in actual fact. Gandhi, the only tyrant I accept in this world is the still voice within. The other one I like. What lies behind you, what lies in front of you, pales in comparison to what lies inside you. So these quotes, I'm going to, for a definition of intuition, I'm going to look to Alice Bailey, who worked with a master Dwell Cool and has contributed much towards our understanding of theosophy. And in her book, From Intellect to Intuition, she says it's a direct apprehension of truth, apart from the reasoning faculty, so apart from your usual reasoning mind, or any process of intellection. So you don't work intuition out, you don't sit there and work it out and think about it. It comes, boom, it's there and it's perfect and you don't question it. You're like, where did that come from? It's the emergence into consciousness of some truth or beauty never before sensed. It often has a quality, it often is something we wouldn't have thought of ourselves. And you might question it with your mind, where has that come from? Why would I want to go in that direction? Why am I drawn to this person? Why do I feel like going in this direction now? Why do I want that to make that decision when really logically I should make that decision? So it's these, you get a feeling. It's a feeling rather than a thinking. It's a feeling. And immediately, it is immediately recognized as infallibly true and arouses no questioning. Sometimes we do get pieces of knowing, pieces of awareness that we just know are true. It is said that we are truth, beauty and goodness. That is our essence, and because we have that within us, we can recognize it when we come across it. So the reason that you can know that something is true when you hear it is because you are truth inside. The reason you can recognize beauty, the beauty out in nature, is because you are beauty inside. And so because we have these qualities, we can recognize them. So we know truth when we hear it. So today in my talk, I ask you, don't take everything I say, take it into your inner tuition, see if it resonates with truth, beauty and goodness, and if it does, take from it what you will. If it doesn't, ask me some more, or take it into the silence of meditation for your answers. So we've looked at these two. So we'll be getting a feel for what intuition is. Many native cultures value intuition in terms of decision making. I'm trying to think of some examples. Well, I live intuitively all the time. It's a gut feeling. You know what I mean when I say a hunch or a gut feeling? Studies of most of the richest people in the world have shown, they did a survey, they never ever ignore gut feelings. They never ignore hunches. They're people who are often the mavericks of the world, the entrepreneurs, those who stand out, who do things differently, are those who take a different path because they're prepared to listen to a guidance that tunes you into the universal. Because when you listen to your intuition, you tune in to what Deepak Chopra calls the universal field of potentiality. So you tune into knowledge and awareness way beyond what your little brain or small mind can understand or comprehend or work out. And so you tune into something far greater. But it's a scary process because it involves letting go control. Okay. Trusting. We like to control our life. We like to be able to think, right, I think about this and I'm going to make that decision and I'm going to go in that direction, and whoa, something comes in and throws you a complete curveball and you're like, what do I do? The universe, life, God, whatever your definition is, throws you something, you're like, wow. What's your first reaction? Always look to your first reaction. When someone says to you, do you want to go bungee jumping? And you go, oh yeah. And then you go, oh God, no, I can't do that, I'm too old. Your first reaction is the intuitive one. That is the one when you are standing in your magnificence. Before the rational mind starts giving you reasons why not, it was that initial, yeah. So I think when you live from a place of intuition, things come along into your life and you will attract them as you start to live in what we call the flow. So you relinquish the control, you let life flow more, you allow trusting that it will bring you exactly what you need and that you will be in a position, especially if you can stay in the present moment, if you can be present to everything, your awareness will tell you and guide you exactly what you need to do, say, think, what direction in any given moment. But it's trusting that is difficult. Many people believe that women are more intuitive than men, and that is not the case at all. It's just that in our society it's more acceptable for women to be intuitive than men, but most men are exceedingly intuitive and just as intuitive as women. They may just keep it a little bit better hidden because it's not as acceptable to make big decisions from an intuitive place. I know when I was choosing high schools for my son, my eldest son, tossing up between two, and I could read all the tables and look at all the results, and there wasn't much in it. And really what I did was I went and I just walked around and felt the energy of the school, if you like, just felt how it felt, more than, you know, all the stuff that our body and our cell that we take in that we don't even know we take in. And one felt infinitely better than the other. And that, you know, my ex-husband was quite keen on the other one because on paper it probably looked better. But he, after 20 years of being around me, he trusted enough to know that if I have a gut feeling on something, it's best to go with it. And my son has been exceedingly happy and done very well in the high school he's in, and probably is thankful that I kind of stood my ground on that one, if you like. So just little things, but you get intuitive messages all the time. It's your soul speaking to you. It's just what we've got to do, and I'm going to teach you a bit about this. We've got to clear out some of the clutter, both in our body and our mind, so we can hear those messages, so that they come through louder and clearer, if you like. What I want to do, intuition in theosophical terms brings spirit into matter. So if you like, if there's this spiritual energy, this all-knowing, all-being consciousness, God, spirit, however you, something greater than us, this unity, what we are here to do as human beings is to bring spirit into matter, to live spiritual lives, rather than just knowing about them, believing them, or talking about them, to actually live them. And part of the trusting and intuition is to start to live that spiritual life. You know how when an athlete, a world-class athlete, and we'll see this in the Olympics, sometimes they perform something and they make it look effortless. They make it look so easy, you're almost fooled into thinking that you could do that. You know, the gymnasts sometimes, and they'll do something, you think, oh, that looks so easy. Or the divers. They are in the flow. They are tapping into more than just this. They have just learned to trust. They've trained their bodies. They open up and they tap into something far greater, and they're in what athletes call the flow. That flow is intuition. Okay, so it's just an example. So you start to get a feel for what it is. Okay, why do we need it? It brings...
To protect yourself.
It does protect you, absolutely. That feeling, no, I really don't want to go over there, or I don't want to go into that room, or I don't want to be with that person, is intuitive. Some people's energy you are drawn to, or you find you just keep bumping into someone. You need to talk to them. Do you know what I mean? So things that are synchronicity, serendipitous things, they tend to be your intuition, and you start to get a feel for those things and recognize them in your life. But if you walk into a room where there's been an argument, you know. Yeah, that's your intuition. Okay, so it is speaking to you all the time. They found neural tissue, brain tissue in the gut. So your stomach, if you like, which is where a lot of people feel it. Some people feel it in the heart, some people in their stomach, some people base of their neck and their spine. People are different. Is intelligent. The cells are intelligent. They're speaking to you. It's not just your awareness in your brain that speaks to you, and we can tune into this knowledge. It's an awakening in the Christ consciousness. Now we talk about Christ consciousness as almost like the Holy Spirit, if you like, in the Christian tradition. And it's this opening of the heart energy. And so the intuition comes from your Buddhic heart, from the Buddha within you that we all have. And I'm going to show you a diagram that some of you know who've studied Theosophy that helps to explain. It reveals our path of love and service. So your intuition will guide you on your path. Every single one of us has been put on this planet as a unique expression of the one of unity, to fulfill a path, our part of a huge plan for humanity. We are like the cells of one body. And so much as in my body there are muscle cells and tendon cells, and there are cells that need to balance the fluid and cells that need to deal with vitamins and all this sort of thing, we all have different roles and paths. Now when you find your path, life starts to get quite interesting. It tends to get quite exciting. It can get quite challenging. But you will know deep inside when you have found what you're here to do, because you will feel alive, you will feel energized, you will feel passionate about what you do. You will find it easy to do. You will love to do it. Two is fine.
Drawn between the two. You don't
go inward. Go inward.
Yeah.
Or just sit back and let life show you which. But that crossroads place is a wonderful place to be, even though it can feel like a rubbish place to be. Yeah, no, it can feel like a rubbish place, because in your mind, and this is jumping way ahead, in the Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna was on the battlefield, and he's in a chariot, and Arjuna is like the personality, like the lower self, and he has Krishna, who's like a god. It's like his soul, his higher self, they're with him. And Krishna is saying, your duty is to go out into battle and be the best warrior you can be. And he's saying, I can't go and slay all those people.